welcome to the album, man. And yes, finally, I am back. So if you've been wondering where I've been gone over the last, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 days, something like that. Well, originally I was only gonna be not making videos for a few days. I had work to do, things like that, but recently I've just had the most awful cold, which has just completely debilitated me, some flu-like thing. But anyway, I am back, and today we're going to be doing a Random Friday review, even though it's not Friday. And this is going to be REO Speedwagons. You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish, which was picked in an earlier video, but to be honest, it was so long ago. It's been deleted by now, so there you go. Anyway, as usual, please do, submit entries into the magic envelope for what to pick in this series. Yeah, so this album was released in 1978 and has sold over 2 million copies in the US alone, and is a classic, American rock AOR album and band, to be honest. I think over about 40 million, I think, overall. And I have to say, this type of soft rock / AOR, it's not something I often talk about on this channel. It really isn't. I mean, the last one, well, I suppose I talked about Super Trout's Breakfast in America, which was one of the last RFRs ago. But yeah, I mean, it's not one of my favourite genres, but it's a genre I enjoy quite a bit. Bands like Survivor, of course, REO Speedwagon, Foreigner, Styx, Journey, they all have some great material. I have to say, this album is one of my favourites of the genre, definitely rating up there alongside something like Journey's Escape or Foreigner's 4. And what I really love about this album, as usual, track listing and description below in case, you want a visual look. So what I love about this album, I like the variety, and the mixture of songs is great. I mean, of course, you have the big, all-out rocking singles like, Roll With The Changes, which, I mean, that's a pretty big rock song that I'm sure everybody knows, so it's absolutely spectacular, of course, and which you often get with this type of American rock. But what I particularly love about this album is the musicianship and the guitar-focused sound. I mean, a lot of these sort of AOR groups, like for example Supertramp, they tend to be a more keyboard-heavy band, tend to be a bit poppier. But here, really, the guitar work of Gary Wickroff, I think that's his name, on lead guitar, it really drives the album, and it's simply superb. His lead, it really just catapults this album from being, a decent sort of catchy rock album into a classic. I mean, the solos he plays, they just complement the songs really well, very melodic, but also show such a high degree of technical proficiency that you really wouldn't expect with this type of sort of soft rock AOR, to be honest. A great example is the double track guitar on Lucky For You, the sort of lead line, which then builds into this just wondrous little solo with some killer bass drive, and I have to say the bass is quite prevalent in this album, which is quite nice, but we'll come on to that a bit later when we talk about the production. And yeah, anyway, we'll talk about the variety before I went off course a bit. And yeah, I mean, then you have songs like Blazin' Your Own Trail, which is a sort of a softer, lovely little ballad. I like that song quite a bit. And you even have an instrumental, which, no joke, is titled The Unidentified Flying Tuna Trout. Yeah, that's actually seriously what it's called. But it's a very good song, and has some absolute killer keyboard work from Neil Doty in his solo, his keyboard solo. And the driving melody of the song is fantastic. It's a lovely instrumental. I like it a lot. It's a bit short now. I wish it was longer, to be honest. But that's a general problem of the album, which we'll come to in a sec. And yeah, again, this song, it just showcases how talented these guys are as musicians. I mean, seriously, you can put them up there with pretty much anyone, certainly, any sort of standard rock musician of the 70s. I mean, really, they're just so phenomenally talented. Definitely almost some sort of progressive elements in here. I'm not going to say they're really a prog rock band, because they're not. But there's definitely even some slight prog elements, definitely in the musicianship, definitely. Okay, and the final song I also love, Say You Love Me or Say Goodnight, and this has such a live feel to it, a spontaneous and sort of bombastic feel as well. You can really tell they sort of enjoyed recording this one, and just had fun, let themselves go. It definitely doesn't feel like an overproduced standard, studio recording, to be honest. And the remaster, so that really helped. It's superb. I mean, production, I just can't flaw. It is just practically flawless. I mean, even through the worst tiniest, cheapest Apple iPod headphones, this would probably still sound great. I mean, all the instruments are very definable. Even the bass, you can definitely hear what everybody's playing very separately, but yet it all comes together, all, you know, nicely in a nice, neat package to form this very live, ecstatic sound throughout the whole album. And you really just can't help but sing along to the choruses, which really is just elevated, as I said, by the production. It just really makes everything stand out, everything. It's just such a fun album. I mean, you just really enjoy listening to it. It is simply spectacular. I mean, honestly, this is actually the first time, even though I've had the album, if I can find it. No, I don't seem to actually have it on me, but there you go. I've actually had this album a while, but never listened to it. But I'm bloody glad I have, because it's fantastic. I mean, there's some negatives. Let's have a look. So the song "Do You Know Where Your Woman Is Tonight," that really doesn't do it for me. That just, nah. It's a bit of filler. I mean, it's only like 2 minutes, but in this album, it's a short album. I mean, we're talking, this is a half-an-hour album, pretty much. So that's roughly about 10 minutes shorter than my recommended time of an album, which is, I tend to think between 40 and 50 minutes is the ideal length for an album, with 45 minutes for me being just that peak of an album's length. Yeah, I mean, about half an hour, it's just that bit too short. As I said, some things I feel could have been developed a bit more, like the instrumental on Unidentified Flying Tuna Trout. Yeah, you know, some of the songs are a bit short, and as I said, you really can't afford to have any filler, but they don't really. I mean, this album, it really is quite short and sweet, and its length is a bit of a double-edged sword, really. It's like, would I want maybe 3 other songs on there, but, you know, they're all filler, and it's like, well, not really, but, you know, yeah, it's hard to come to, you know, as I said, it's a double-edged sword, really. So overall, I'm going to be giving this album an 8.5 out of 10. A very good album indeed, an absolute classic that any rock fan should check out. I'm sure most of you probably know this album, but yeah, for you, you know, anyone who doesn't, and just, you know, for REO Speedwagon, you know, sort of AOR, not, you know, really going that bit too commercial for me, really do give this a go, because it might surprise you how sort of actually rocky and guitar driven this album is. So this has been TheAIbumMan. Thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, and as usual, long live rock and roll.